I never expected my marriage to end over a whisper. It wasn't a fight, a message, or a dramatic confession, just a few quiet words she thought I wouldn't hear. It was a Friday evening, one of those half-formal office parties my wife loved. She thrived on the spotlight. New dress, new laugh, same routine. I stood near the bar holding a glass I didn't want, pretending to enjoy conversations I didn't care for. Then I heard it. My ex was a real man, she whispered almost wistfully to her friend. Her tone wasn't angry or nostalgic. It was sad. The kind of sadness that tells you she's already compared you and found you lacking. I didn't turn right away. The sentence hung in the air like cigarette smoke, stinging, invisible but impossible to ignore. Her friend said something I couldn't catch. Then my wife, Claire, added softly, "He just knew how to handle me. Jake tries, but it's not the same, Jake, that's me. 42 architect, loyal to a fault. Married 7 years. No kids by her choice. I always believed we were fine, not perfect, but fine. The kind of quiet marriage built on routines and shared calendars. But in that moment I realized silence isn't peace. Sometimes it's distance disguised as calm. I left the bar, stepped out to the balcony, and let the night wind cool the heat building in my chest. Every word of hers replayed, not because it was shocking, but because it confirmed a truth I'd ignored for too long. She hadn't loved me in years. She'd tolerated me. When she found me later, she smiled like nothing happened. "You okay?" "You disappeared." "Yeah," I said. "Just needed some air." I didn't mention what I'd heard, not yet. There's a power in silence, especially when the other person expects a reaction. The rest of the evening passed like a scene I was watching from outside. Her laughter felt rehearsed. My patience felt like cowardice. And that whisper, "My ex was a real man," became a rhythm under every song the DJ played. On the drive home, she talked about the party. Who wore what? Who drank too much? I just listened, nodding, letting her words bounce off a mind already making decisions. When we reached home, she leaned in, kissed my cheek out of habit, and went to remove her makeup. I sat on the couch staring at our framed wedding photo on the wall. She looked radiant in it. I looked hopeful. The kind of man who still believed effort could replace passion. Maybe that was my mistake, in mistaking comfort for connection. The next morning I made breakfast. Bacon, eggs, black coffee, her usual. She came downstairs surprised. "Wow, what's the occasion?" "Just thought we could eat together," I said. We sat, and for a moment it felt almost normal. But she kept checking her phone, smiling faintly at whatever she was reading. Probably work chat, maybe not. I didn't ask. I didn't need to. Finally, I said it. "Claire, last night you said something at the party." She froze mid-sip. "What do you mean?" "I heard you tell Emily that your ex was a real man." Her face drained. "Jake, that was God, you were eavesdropping?" "No," I said calmly. "You were standing 10 feet away." She sighed, defensive. "You're blowing this out of proportion. It was just a dumb comment. You know how girls talk." "Right," I said. "Girls talk about the men they respect." The silence that followed was sharp. She put down her mug and folded her arms. "Are you seriously going to act hurt over something that small?" "I'm not acting," I said. "I'm deciding." Her brows furrowed. "Deciding what?" "Whether to keep pretending this marriage still means something to you." She scoffed. "Oh, for God's sake, Jake, you're being dramatic." "Maybe," I said. "Or maybe I'm just finally hearing what you've been saying for years. Not with words, but with everything else." She stood abruptly. "I'm not doing this right now." "Of course you're not," I said quietly. "Real conversations never fit your schedule." She left the table, muttering something about me being oversensitive. I watched her walk away and wondered how love can fade so completely that even basic respect goes with it. The rest of the weekend, she kept her distance. Cold, polite, unbothered. I stayed quiet. Sometimes silence isn't surrender. It's preparation. Because by Monday morning I knew what I needed to do. By Monday, the anger had cooled into something sharper. Clarity. I didn't shout, didn't confront, didn't pack bags dramatically. I simply stopped participating in the illusion we called marriage. I made my own coffee, ironed my own shirts, ate alone. Claire noticed within days. Not because she missed me, but because the routine she took for granted was breaking. One night she finally said, "You've been acting strange." I looked up from my laptop. Just giving you what you said you wanted. Her eyes narrowed. What are you talking about? A real man, I said quietly. One who doesn't beg for affection or chase validation. One who listens once and decides. She blinked, realizing I wasn't joking. Jake, come on. Are you really still upset about that stupid comment? No, I said. I'm just done misunderstanding it. For a long moment she just stood there, not angry, just uncertain. That was new. Claire always needed control. Now she couldn't predict me. A week later, we had another social event, her friend's birthday dinner. I didn't want to go, but I went anyway. Not to save anything, but to end it with the same calm she'd once mistaken for weakness. At the restaurant, I watched her switch on that perfect charm again. Laughter polished, compliments rehearsed. It used to impress me. Now it just looked like acting. Halfway through the night, one of her old college friends joined the table, a tall guy named Nathan. The ex, I realized, when she tensed slightly and then overcompensated with a bright smile. I sat quietly, listening to them catch up. The way she leaned forward when he spoke, the subtle spark in her eyes. It was all there. Familiar, but no longer painful. I'd already detached. When dessert came, she made a toast, some light-hearted comment about old memories and real men who still remember how to make a woman laugh. Everyone laughed, except me. I looked at her and said evenly, "Then go be his problem again, Claire." The table went silent. She froze mid-laugh, color draining from her face. "What did you just say?" "You heard me," I said calmly. "You miss him? Go find him. Be his problem. I'm done being yours." Her friend stared, half in shock, half in awkward admiration. I stood up, left a few bills for the check, and walked out. No shouting, no scene. Just peace. The kind that comes when you finally stop bleeding for someone who never noticed the wound. I drove home with the windows down. The night air felt different, lighter, cleaner. For years, I'd carried the weight of keeping us okay. Turns out okay was just the slow death of self-respect. When she came home hours later, her tone had changed completely. No arrogance, no attitude, just quiet panic. "Jake, you embarrassed me tonight." "I told the truth," I said.
That shouldn't be embarrassing unless it's true. She sat down, suddenly softer.
"Look, I didn't mean what I said at the party. It was just small talk. You know how it is." "No," I said. "I don't. Because when I talk about you, I don't have to downgrade you to sound interesting." Her eyes welled up, but not out of love, out of fear. She knew the tone I was using. It was the same one I used when finalizing a project at work. Firm, decided, finished. "I don't want to lose you," she said quietly. "You already did," I replied. "You just didn't notice until tonight." That was the last real conversation we had. 2 weeks later, she moved out. No drama, no fights, just a clean, silent end. People always imagine closure as a long, emotional goodbye. It isn't. Sometimes it's just the moment you realize you no longer need answers. I rebuilt my routine alone. Gym before work, long drives after. It didn't feel lonely. It felt honest. Friends asked if I regretted ending it. I told them the truth. I regret staying long enough for her to forget who I was. Months passed. One evening I got a message from an unknown number. "I saw you at the store today. You look good. I miss you." It was Claire. I didn't reply. Not out of bitterness, Mo, but because silence was the only language she'd ever ignored. And now it was the only one that mattered. That night, as I locked up my apartment, I caught my reflection in the window, calm, steady, unbroken. Maybe I wasn't the real man she thought she wanted, but I became the man who no longer needed to prove it.